Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man
Tell
Show.
the truth. Tell the truth.
Do you want truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you don't want truth, this is not the channel for you.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
In the White House, I'm not gonna say his name. Jack Lake.
Tell the truth.
If you want truth,
Tell the truth.
the Information Show is the place for you. Truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man.
Okay, everybody, this is the Information Man. Let me take this off. And then let me get right into the presentation. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I hope everybody out there is doing well. Let me turn that down. This presentation is one of a serious nature. I am the Information Man. Do me the greatest favor and subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. But this is of a very serious nature because we got coronavirus, or C-19, as some people are now saying. And I heard my man George Makem using that term because, you know, YouTube is censoring a lot of stuff around this issue. And we're seeing what's happening with this pandemic, or what they're calling a pandemic, and how it's impacting people. I'm still going to contend with what my brother Keedy said. That's the brother that I was telling you about, or you will learn about. He's a brother who has a channel. He talks about the science of things and the spirituality of things and the health, how you need to fortify yourself through eating proper diet. But with everything that's happening right now with this pandemic, there's so much that the government, or it appears that the government, is not telling us. It's leaving people up to their own conclusions as to what they think is going on. There are people that feel that, well, maybe there's something happening in the laboratories. Maybe there's something it's man-made. People are in a hysteria as to what is going on, because when you look at the news, you're hearing the death tolls. You're seeing that people are being on lockdown provisions, a lot of stuff. So today, this evening, this morning, wherever you are in the world, I want to talk about the Inside America Secretive Biolabs. This was originally a report that was put out by USA Today. And I'll give you all of my references to where I'm getting this information from. But USA Today did an extensive research on the safety of laboratories in this country that deal with level 1, level 2. Let me put this up here for you, that deal with these various levels of hazards. So we got BSL1 level 1, BSL level 2. Then you got level 3, level 4. Level 3 and 4 are the highest level of hazardous material that a laboratory could deal with. Level 1 would be basic, and level 2 sort of in that middle. So these are the different laboratories that you have around America, in this country today, that fit those levels, meaning high bioterror type of viruses that they're dealing with, stuff that can straight up kill us straight up. And the funny thing, it's not funny, is that a lot of these laboratories may be in your neighborhood. They could be near your mall, because they're secretive, and even the government doesn't even know what the government is doing, because there are those in the government who don't even know where most of these, or some of these laboratories are located. Of course, there are some in government that know it, and there's some that don't know it. But I just want to put that out there right now, because when you look at what's happening with this pandemic, it makes you scratch your head when I present the information that I'm going to present to you as to what is really going on. Is because a lot of American laboratories are not very safe. They're having all sorts of accidents. Matter of fact, they've had all sorts of mishaps throughout the decades. And I'm going to present that to you right now. So I want you all to bear with me as we get into this. I'm going to read a document. This is very important. This is no joke. I want you to hear everything that I say very clearly. And most importantly, you've got to share this video when I break down what I've got to say to you right now based on data that is coming right on out. So I'm going to start here, right here. Vials of bioterror bacteria have gone missing. Lab mice infected with deadly viruses. Now, I did a video about how the rats in New York are going crazy because they don't have any food to eat because people are not out there on the streets like they were before, and the rats are literally killing each other. I did that as a podcast on my second channel, The Information Man Show. Check it out. And on all the other podcasting platforms that I operate off of. Now, you see this rat on the screen. It's dead right now. But they experiment with rats and lab mice. And can you imagine that something like this, it gets out of the laboratory? Now it's got deadly virus inside of it, and it bites you. In historical sense, rats and rodents have always been hosts and carriers of various nasty diseases or viruses or whatever the hell we're talking about, because virology is becoming something that you got to question. There's something about it that is very questionable. But so you would have a lab rat like that would get out with a deadly virus, escape from a laboratory, and you would have wild rodents like this, like the rat that I just showed you on the screen, that have been found making nests with research waste. Now, not to mention cattle. You've had affected cattle in a university vaccine experiment. There were repeatedly sent to the slaughter and their meat sold for human consumption. So you've had cattle that have been impacted from laboratory experiments, and somehow mistakes, or what we think are mistakes, have been made where these cattle have actually been sold in the market for slaughter, as I just said, for meat for your human consumption. Now, check this out. Those who work in a laboratory are very much at risk, because you have gear that is meant to protect lab workers from lethal viruses such as Ebola and bird flu have also failed repeatedly with their protective equipment. Now, based on USA Today's research, a network investigation revealed that hundreds of lab mistakes, safety violations, and nearly missed incidents have occurred in biological laboratories coast to coast in recent years, putting scientists and their colleagues, and sometimes even the public, at risk. Oversight of biological research labs is a fragmented, often secretive, and largely self-policing. The investigation found that even when research facilities committed the most egregious safety or security breaches, as more than 100 labs have federal regulations that keep their names secret. So a lot of these laboratories that have had these bumbling mistakes, these I mean, that have done just terrible things with their lack of attention to detail, they get a big fat F in my book. They're putting the American public at risk. And this is why people who are into conspiracy theories, if you want to call it that, this is why people who are skeptical about the government feel the way they do, because they don't feel that they can trust the government in their blunders. Now, let me of particular concerns. This is my concern, everybody. Let me just say this real quick. My concern is that we've got government officials, government institutions in this country who don't know the names of some of these laboratories. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's this whole thing called need to know basics. If you don't need to know, we ain't going to tell you. But there are people, whether you call it deep state, whatever you want to call it, there are people who know things, and then there's people that know things, and then people that know things, and then people that don't know nothing. Secrets upon secrets. When it comes to these laboratories, you got to be cautious. You see on this here, it says caution, authorized personnel only. This is a BSL-4 level institution. And I don't understand, once again, how can you be having accidents in laboratories and also stuff getting out? Oh, I've got more juicy things coming your way. And this is the lab gear that they wear, which in the report says that there have been accidents where the lab gear is not even working properly to protect those that it's meant for. Now that's crazy. Now here you go right here. This is real cool right here. That's a real cool lab gear right there. But the problem is that not all of the people that are working in these laboratories are wearing something so smooth like that. Some of their stuff is raggedy to Raggedy Ann. But I digress. Let me get back to the meat of this presentation. And so let me say this again. Even when research facilities commit the most egregious safety security breaches, as more than 100 labs have federal regulations keep their names secret. So basically there are laboratories in this country that are secret, but there's another, when they screw up, when they F up, okay? When they blunder, they keep it a secret, folks. It's secret squirrel. They don't let anybody know that they screwed up. They don't let you and me know. Now, of a particular concern that the article goes into are the mishaps occurring at institutions working with the world's most dangerous, hazardous pathogens in biosafety level 3 and level 4 laboratories. Those are the highest levels, as I had talked about before. The two highest levels of containment that have proliferated since 9/11 terror attack in 2001. Yet there is no particular available list of labs in the scope of their research, and safety records are largely unknown to most state health departments that are charged with responding to disease outbreaks. Even the federal government does not know where they all are. And the Government Accountability Office has warned this for years. They have shouted this out for years. That's the Government Accountability Office. Now, a team of reporters who work for the USA Today network, newspaper, and television station identified more than 200 of these high contaminated lab facilities in all 50 states, going from the District of Columbia, operating by government agencies, universities, private companies, They're scarce across the country, from the heart of New York City to a valley in Montana, from an area near Seattle Space Needle to just a few blocks from Kansas City Country Club to plazas, restaurants, and shopping districts right near you folks. Say it again, right near you folks. So some of us are living in communities in near malls, near downtown areas, in industrial areas, where there are these laboratories that are dealing with these different levels of contaminants. Let me put that back up again. A level 1, a level 2, a level 3, and a level 4. And we don't even know this because they're not telling you. So therefore, it begs to differ why when we have outbreaks of some type of contaminant, some type of virus, so they say, it's amazing how it gets out to the public very quickly, because you do have laboratory mistakes. And I've got a juicy audio to go along with this presentation that puts another icing on top of the cake here. Let me get back to this again. There are more than 200 of these high contaminated lab facilities in all 50 states, as I said before. Just want to make, I want that to ring home with you all that are listening out there. And if you're listening, I want to tell you right now, I appreciate you listening to the program. And I definitely appreciate your support. And I always have to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
And you know that. And for those of you out there who are new to the channel, thank you for subscribing. But if you're watching this video now, go ahead and...
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
I want to say one more thing before I go on with the presentation. Let me put a picture up of a dear brother to me. This is George Makem. George Makem is a brother of fantastic knowledge and skill set out of Philadelphia. He's a YouTuber as well. I still haven't interviewed him yet, which I should have by now. But this is the brother who inspired me to do this, because I was listening to his live stream around this same issue. And I said, George, I'm going to have to do this on my channel as well. And he broke it down. So check out George Makem 2 is the name of his YouTube channel. He's getting in on it. He's got a brother on there that was excellent, explaining a lot of this details of this. He sent me articles and data for this presentation. So I want to give him all the credit and all the peace and love and blessings. That's my brother there. As you can see, get on code, Black Power, George Makem. I had to give the brother his props and his respect. Peace to you, brother. So back to this again. I'm going to now check this out, everybody. And peace to George if he's listening to this. Me podcast this right now. High profile lab accidents last year with anthrax, Ebola, bird flu at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and that the discovery of forgotten vials of deadly smallpox. Can you believe that? So even before this whole COVID-19, the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, they already were having problems with accidents in their laboratory and viruses getting out of their laboratory that exposes us, the public. Let me read this again. High profile lab accidents last year. And this article just came out May the 18th. High profile lab accident last year with anthrax, Ebola, and bird flu at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and the discovery of forgotten vials of deadly smallpox viruses at the National Institution of Health raised widespread concern about lab safety and security nationwide, as whether current oversight is accurate to protect workers and public in the public. Okay, then they stated on Wednesday, the Department of Defense disclosed that one of its labs in Utah, can you believe this, folks? In Utah, mistakenly sent a sample of live anthrax instead of killing the specimens to the lab across the United States, plus a military base in South Korea, where 22 people are now being treated with antibiotics because of their potential exposure to the bioterror pathogen. As many as 18 labs in 9 states received the sample. The CDC said Thursday. This is a damn shame. What the CDC incident shows us is that the very best labs are not perfectly safe. It can happen anywhere, and certainly can happen in the United States and across the world. There were about 10 incidents that were discovered at some of the nation's biolabs in this country. That's 10. That's 10 too many. That's one too many. We don't need any of this happening. Let me go on here before I end here. Some people found little residents that nobody was sickened in the CDC accident, or that the historically low number of serious infections among lab workers generally, or that infections spreading into the community surrounding the labs have been revealed. Many of us think that really a matter of good fortune. Now, this is the bottom line. Let me just break this down. This is the bottom line. This is the bottom line. So the bottom line is just this. There have been accidents in some of the laboratories in this country. There was a big accident, as you heard me read there, with the Center for Disease Control in their laboratories. And as a result, they're saying that there was a high potential that it would have gotten out to the public and spread, and that it was only by the luck that it did not happen, and that they need to count their blessings. This is the same Center for Disease Control, CDC, along with the World Health Organization, who I believe did a poor job with dealing with and identifying and taking serious this thing we call COVID-19, this zombie apocalypse that we're living in right now. I think this is very, very serious and very, very important to emphasize. The country's best labs have robust safety programs. They are currently examining the biosafety problems identified at CDC's prestigious labs, have raised questions about what's happening elsewhere in the country and around the world. It's just a matter of some concern. Now, let me read this quote right here. You're talking about something that has the ability to take off, and we could not be confident of being able to contain it. So if something gets out of laboratories, they don't have the confidence that they can contain it. Now, when you look at COVID-19, it spread like wildfire. And are we containing it? No. They're still talking about a vaccine. There is no cure to it. Doctors and hospitals are simply trying to treat it as best as they can. It is a respiratory condition. Your best way to deal with some of this, folks, is that you've got to, once again, strengthen your immune system, eat right, exercise, get out and get some sun. There's nothing foolproof. But what's dangerous right now, looking over this, is that we've had incidents in this country that many of us didn't even know were happening. So we're always, if you want to be honest about it, at danger. Let me show you something right here. Let me put this article up here, right here. And this is the CD. Now, this article came out, I believe, in 2014. This was July 11, 2014. It says CDC cracks down on labs after anthrax and bird flu scares. And I want to thank once again George Makem for sending me some of these materials. Let me read the headline of this that you can't see. Government health officials are cracking down on safety at the nation's highest level biosecurity labs after a disturbing series of lapses, including an anthrax scares, discovering of loss of vials of containing live smallpox, as I spoke before, and a new report of accidental shipments of highly pathogenic bird flu. This is serious, folks. This is why people believe in conspiracy theories. This is why people are skeptical. This is why people are concerned about whether they want to take a vaccine for anything and roll up your sleeves. This is why people are as skeptical as they are on social media. Even though we know social media, they're trying to censor our messages. And my message is based in truth.
Tell the truth.
The director of the Center of Disease Control Prevention on Friday, July 11, this is back in 2014, announced immediate moratoriums on all shipments of biological materials from CDC. Why are they shipping anything? Just leave it where. Now I'm getting emotional. I mean, this is crazy. Let me put up another article here. Now, how many of you were aware of this? On the picture here, it says stolen research. A Chinese scientist is accused of smuggling lab samples. So that means he had to have gotten in one of our labs, one of these level 2, level 3, level 4 labs, and stole. Promising cancer researcher confessed that he had planned to take the stolen samples to Sun Ying Sun Memorial Hospital and published the results under his own name. So he was going to plagiarize. And on the picture, you may not be able to see this, he stole this from Bethel, Israel Medical Center, East Campus, main entry. And this was in, wow, this is crazy. They caught him because they checked his luggage. He had the samples wrapped in a plastic bag. Then he inserted it into a sock. The officers found what they were looking for, 21 vials of brown liquid cancer cells that the authorities say Mr. Zimai, 29 years old, cancer researchers took from the laboratory at Bethel, Israel Medical Center. Under questions in court documents says that this Asian scientist, Mr. Zian, acknowledged that he had stolen 8 of the samples and had replicated 11 more based on the colleagues' research. When he returned to China, he said he would take the samples to Sun Yee Memorial Hospital, and there you go. You've got people breaking into labs or getting into laboratories in this country, and they're able to get their hands on, this time it's cancer research. Tomorrow it's anthrax, it's something more deadlier. But the fact that he had something, that he had cancerous cells, he could have used that to infect people, just that alone. This is in America in 2014. These are the things that are happening that they don't want to tell you about, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go into this right here. Another issue, another situation that happened in America. The FBI. The FBI gets case of missing vials at a missing virus at a Texas biolab. Let me just read a little bit of this for you to get a taste of. March 26, 2013, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has referred to the FBI case of laboratory where one of the vials of a deadly flu virus went missing. An official from the CDC told ABC News he reported that the incident to he reported the incident to the FBI, and we understand that the FBI will initiate an investigation. So that's what happened with the FBI. Can you believe this? So now someone got their hands on a deadly flu virus. And man, this is crazy. And the FBI was doing an investigation concerning the reports of an incident by Dr. Robb, director of the CDC Division of Selected Agents and Toxins, told abcnews.com in an email. Since the investigation is just underway, the agency will not comment further regarding the details of the incident. This is a damn shame, folks. The FBI would not confirm it was investigating the incident or not. This is the type of bullshit that goes on in this world. It's crazy. Give me just a minute. Okay, I'm back. Now, I'm not finished yet, folks. Let me bring up another slider for you to take a look at. This one is crazy as well. This is in France. Remember the French were talking about they wanted to bring their studies and research over to Africa to test a vaccine for the COVID-19 on Africans, and African nations are saying, hey, we're not a petri dish for you. Get the hell out of that with this. Well, the French, check this out. A French lab lost the Sars vials. Okay, now Sars is another offshoot of, it's basically another form of coronavirus. The vials containing Sars fragments hidden at a vulnerability in the laboratory in France. April 16th, this was in April 16, 2014, around the damn same time that the Center for Disease Control was having their own problems. In France, laboratory has lost more than 2,000 vials containing fragments of deadly SARS virus, which killed nearly 800 people in 2003 epidemic across the continent. The institution in Paris, France, announced this week that it realizes it was missing the vials. Can you believe that? And contacting countries and national security agencies of medicines and health and products to conduct an investigation on April 8th, according to news release. Now, check this out. I know we've watched movies, and I mean, my man George was talking about this. I know we watch movies, you know, where we see espionage and we see terrorists. Look, there's a whole different layer of another world out there, folks. There are people out there who are selling or trying to get their hands on these deadly pathogens who have nothing but corrupt reasons for getting them to do harm to us. Believe that. Money talks and bullshit walks. Don't tell me that these laboratories that are supposed to be safe, all of a sudden they've got rodents getting out. that they're experimenting on, livestock getting out, that they're experimenting on, vials are getting out. In France, you got 2,000 vials of this deadly SARS that killed 800 people in 2003. How is this stuff just getting out? I don't believe that it's just getting out. It got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be an inside job. Where it's, to me, I believe personally, or allegedly, I'm saying allegedly in my mind, that there may be some purposeful, some on purpose stuff going on here. It may not just be, oh, it was just an accident. It could really be some people doing some espionage type stuff like you see in the movies. Sometimes the stuff that you see in the movies is they're telling you what's really going on. You just got to wake up your mind. Wake up to what's happening. That includes what's happening to us right now. Now, they're saying here in this report in France in 2014, reported by ABC News, that although the fragments are not dangerous, they do raise concern, revealing a lab's vulnerability, said Dr. Williams. Bullshit. That stuff gets into your system, you're a goner. You could be possibly. See how they try to minimize their BS? They can't explain and tell you the truth how it got out of the lab, but then they want to minimize. See, there's an old saying, folks. You want to you minimize, you maximize, you minimize the maximum, and then you want to maximize the minimum. No, these laboratories are dealing with dangerous pathogens that puts us all at risk. And then we set up here today in 2020 dealing with a situation right now that's got us all scratching our head and wondering what's really going on. And then you got Donald Trump, who refuses to wear a mask. So does he know something that we don't know? What's really going on? And I'm not no fan of Donald Trump by all means, but something just doesn't smell kosher here at all. So what I want to do right now is I want to go over something really quick. I want to break down the levels of these laboratories for you in a quick breakdown summary. So let's go to bio lab 1. So that's the number 1 level of a laboratory. What does that mean? What does that entail? What does that entail? Level 1 is a laboratory that has mechanical materials, safety, sharps handling, avoid splashes, daily decontamination, hand washing, prohibiting food and drinks and smoking materials in those laboratories, biological signs all over the place. Now with bio level 2 hazard, you've got the laboratory has safe closing, lockable doors, a sink and eye washing station should be readily available, biohazard warning signs, appropriate personnel, protective equipment must be worn, including lab coats and gloves, eye protection and face shields can also be worn as needed. This is very important. Very important. Let me continue to go on with this. So you got laboratory has safe closing lockable doors. That's one example. Now the BSL bio level 3, which is the next highest level, the highest level next to 4. This is what's common in these laboratories. Standard personal protective equipment must be worn and respirator might be required. Solid front white paneled ground scrub suit or often required. All work with microorganisms must be performed within a appropriate BSC. Access hand-free sink and eye wash are available near exit. Substantial directions airflow to draw air into the laboratory from clean areas towards potential contaminated areas. Exhaust air cannot be recycled. You cannot recycle air in a laboratory like this. Now, the highest level The highest level, which is the BSL-4, is a personal are required to change clothes before entering the shower upon exiting the shower. Decontamination of all materials before exiting, just like you see in sci-fi movies, you know, space movies, and some of the pandemic movies that you see on the Netflix and in the movies. You got to clean in and clean out coming out of the shower. Decontamination chambers. A person must wear appropriate personnel protective equipment from prior BSL level, as well as full body air supply, just like what you see on the screen here. Supplied and positive pressure suit. That's a positive pressure suit you see on there. A class 3 biological safety cabinet. So you're talking about the highest degree of material that one needs to operate in these types of environments, folks. This is a trip. I got to be honest. This is really a trip. That this stuff is happening and then we get this information coming out, and then we look at what we're going through as a country right now and as a world, and it's going to have to make you scratch your head for food for thought. I need everybody immediately, because this video is very important. I need you to share this in all your social media with your friends, your family. Everyone needs to hear the presentation that I have put on, because not to toot my own horn, but I think this is very important. I'm going to leave you all, as I get ready to conclude, I'm going to play you an audio that adds icing to the top of this cake. And this is coming from part of the research that I've been looking at, that USA Today was looking into with their investigation. And if you're ready for it, here it goes.
More than 200 of these kinds of labs that operate at biosafety levels 3 and 4, the two highest containment levels. They're run by federal and state agencies, major pharmaceutical companies, universities, and medical centers. While some are surrounded by fences and guards, others are located in nondescript office parks or near popular shopping and restaurant districts. Lab safety experts say the best labs put safety first. They emphasize that serious infections among lab workers are rare, and incidents where labs have been the source of outbreaks are rarer still.
Unfortunately, laboratory accidents occur pretty regularly in the world, but most of the time, the people that are most at risk, of course, are the people working in the laboratory. And almost all accidents occur with things that are with pathogens that aren't transmissible. So most times a laboratory accident may occur and it's not a big deal for anyone except potentially the researcher, which is not a big public health concern.
But some outbreaks have been leaked to labs.
There were some laboratory accidents with Sars, which had an outbreak in 2003. The laboratory worker brought it home and infected members of their family.
Perhaps the most recent and maybe directly relevant one is an animal virus, which is the foot and mouth disease virus. That escaped from a laboratory in Great Britain in 2007 and caused months of economic damage as it spread from one farm to another, infecting livestock.
A lab accident also is believed to be the source of a flu strain that reemerged in 1977 with nearly the same genetic makeup as a strain that disappeared 20 years earlier.
What's striking about that example is, whatever its origin, it was one of the two major flu viruses that circulated for 32 years up till 2009. So this was a virus that really made a lot of people sick.
In Louisiana, tests are currently underway to make sure a deadly bioterror bacterium hasn't colonized the soil and water around the Tulane National Primate Research Center north of New Orleans. Federal officials say sloppy biosafety practices allowed the bacteria to get out of a secure laboratory there last year. It infected monkeys that had been living in Tulane's outdoor breeding colony. Officials believe the bacteria only spread inside buildings at the research facility. So far, no tests outdoors have detected the bacterium, which is called Burkholderia pseudomallii. It can cause serious illness in people and animals if they come into contact with contaminated soil and water. Area residents expressed concerns to regulators and Tulane officials at a community meeting this spring.
Young from USA Today is here tonight, but thank you to them for keeping this in the headlines. I don't feel we would have gotten near the information we did had they not continued the story, so thank you to them.
The lab in the Tulane accident, like hundreds of others across the country, is what's called a biosafety level 3 lab.
Laboratory designs are based on a stepwise approach to containment. So generally, the lowest biosafety level is a BSL-1, where you work with pathogens that can be worked on the bench top. BSL-2s will allow you to work with some bloodborne pathogens, some human pathogens that are not especially dangerous. A BSL-3 is a much higher containment design.
These labs are used to study microbes that can be lethal if inhaled, things like anthrax and dangerous strains of avian influenza. Negative air pressure is used to keep pathogens inside, and scientists work with specimens inside special biosafety cabinets where any spills or splashes can be contained.
It is very important to know lots about how robust the procedures and the safety programs are. But what people are really interested in is how well it's working.
Details of lab accidents are difficult to come by and often shrouded in secrecy.
I think the data are very limited because the reporting is not mandatory for all labs.
Officials with the Federal Select Agent Program, which regulates labs that work with potential bioterror pathogens, refused repeated requests for interviews. The CDC issued a statement saying it believes the current system of oversight is adequate. USA Today's investigation has found that more than 100 labs experimenting with potential bioterror agents have faced enforcement.
Okay, everybody. This is the Information Man. I want to thank you for joining me. This is very important information I'm putting out. I don't play around on my channel. I'm here trying to put out information that can help people, give people information. This is not a channel that is into playing the games. This is a channel that is for empowerment of the mind. And I want to thank everybody out there who's been watching this, wherever you are in the world, day, night, or evening, morning. Please share this video. Very important. Let me remind you of some of the social media that you can catch me on. Give me one moment. Here is my, oops, I don't want to put that up there. Peace to all who were watching the video. Thank you. Peace to you. Most importantly, share this video. Share this in your social media. Everything. Share this with your family members, your friends, everyone who can comprehend this information, because I think it's very important. They're not telling us, folks. They're not coming out and telling us. You don't see a lot of these politicians or even the media. Why hasn't the media, outside of what USA News Today has done in their investigation, why haven't we heard more people in the media talking about this more and more based on what has happened in the past? So that's my Twitter, @Clinton06, @Clinton06. Please join me there if you like. And that is my Instagram, Information Man Show. Go on and join me there if you can. And of course, I have a second channel, the Information Man Show. Oops, the second channel is Information Man Speaks Podcast. You see it on there. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to continue doing with that channel, but check that out if you can. I really appreciate you all being here today for the Information Man Show. So with that said, I'm getting ready to get out of here. Watch this video again if you have to, because I broke down some good details in it. Share it. Do your own research. I put some articles up. Most of those articles that I put up are from the New York Times. So let me just go over this real quick. My sources. The whole issue about the problems with laboratories, USA Today. Then the issue about the CDC cracking down on their issues that came out 2014 in that was MSNBC News. Then the whole issue around the Chinese scientist that stole some samples out of a laboratory. That was the New York Times. The FBI came from the ABC News. And the ABC News was the same for the French, the report about what the French screwed up on as well. So everybody, thank you out there. Have a good one. Thank you.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man
Tell
Show.
the truth. Tell the truth.
Do you want truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you don't want truth, this is not the channel for you.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
In the White House, I'm not gonna say his name. Jack Lake.
Tell the truth.
If you want truth,
Tell the truth.
the Information Show is the place for you. Truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make
We're
sure
trying to examine, open up one's mind, and understand the shit that's happening in American society and around the world. Information Man Show.
Information is power.
We got to ring the bell to wake the world up.
Tell the truth.
Information is
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Information Man Show.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
In the White House, I'm not gonna say his name.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
We will make America great again.
You need truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
That's right. Truth. This is the Information Man Show.